Jarren Duran asked for $4 million from the Red Sox. The Red Sox filed for $3.5 million. They are taking him to arbitration.
Dude.
Over $500,000.
So, okay.
For a guy who, and the more I read up on this, MLB trade rumors and whatnot, and it's just a projection, but they projected him to get in arbitration almost $5 million, 4.8, 4.9.
Yeah.
So you're getting a deal by him asking for $4 million. You're already getting that deal. You're $500,000 apart, and you're going to take the player to arbitration over $500,000 when you've spent nothing this offseason?
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And I understand sometimes maybe you do have to take a player to arbitration. If you just give everybody everything that they want, all of a sudden your payroll kind of balloons. So I even sort of understand like the business side of it. Jarren Duran has far exceeded his current contract, but this is the way baseball works. So you have to file for arbitration. Remember when Theo Epstein was here? Nobody went to arbitration. He always found a way. He always found common ground. Didn't have to have these court cases where you sit there and you tell the other player, or you tell the player why he's not worth what he's asking for. Even if you like the player, but now you have to be the business side of it. And you're like, you think you're this? Famously, Mookie Betts went to arbitration. They told him, you're not Chris Bryant. Like, you see what Chris Bryant's doing? You're not him.
Well,
and he's
not.
Like, okay. Yeah, he's right. Yeah, he's like, you're right.
I'm definitely not. You're right.
And I mean, ask Jeremy Swayman about the arbitration process. Now, maybe he took it way too personal, but still, it hurt him. Corbin Burns famously went to arbitration with Milwaukee. No shock. He wasn't in Milwaukee much longer after that. This is so insane to me, considering it's the same offseason that they were willing to give Juan Soto $700 million.
I'll put that in air quotes. I mean,
they wanted it out there that they would.
I'm the one who shouldn't be putting that in air quotes. Yeah. That should be you, because I took the cheese on that one.
Well, right, but to me, like, they were just close enough. But publicly, it looks like you were in the bidding for Juan Soto. You know who had a similar year to Juan Soto? Jarren Duran. And you won't give him $500,000?
Nope.
You won't get what? Like what? He's not asking for like $100 million. He's asking for $4 million.
He was 8th in the MVP voting.
He was higher than Devers has ever finished, and you gave him $30 million a year.
He was the All-Star Game MVP.
Nice.
Now, look, he had his own incident last year on the field.
He did,
but I think he's actually a fun player to watch. He's one of the few fun players they have on the team to watch.
Okay. Also, and Lou Merloni on Twitter took the Chris Cotillo tweet about a lot of clubs do this and blah blah blah. And this is what Merloni wrote. He wrote, I would highly recommend not going to court with Duran. Those hearings can be tough for any player when the team starts talking about why you're not worth the money. The team has to know the damage it could cause. And he kind of left it at that. If you kind of take it one step further and look at some of the stuff that Jarren Duran has dealt with,
correct,
on and off the field, how bad it was and what a bad place he was in, 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And, the fans were pretty much against him.
He's he's walking away from the sport, just about.
But he's talked about all these different things that he has had to do to help his mental health.
Correct.
So I don't think it's a good tactic to take with any of your players,
okay,
let alone somebody like this, who is really good. Is maybe the most important part.
If Duran's asking for 10 and he's projected to get 5, well, that you go, okay, you're being unruly.
Sorry, bud.
Yeah. And so maybe you take that player. He wants 4. You're going to take him to court for 3.5 over $500,000. We say arbitration court.
Yeah.
Now, look, I think they can still settle, right? They can still agree to something before actually going through with it.
I hope so.
But they're ready to take him to arbitration over $500,000 in a year where they claimed they were ready to spend $700 million.
But this also,
and they still have barely spent a dime this offseason on real talent.
And to compare it back to the Mookie Betts situation, this also, I think for most people, you wouldn't forget it. And when it's time to, let's say, whenever Jarren Duran becomes an unrestricted free agent, and the Red Sox are like, hey, you've played your whole career here, fans love you, you love being here, we'll offer you like $300 million or whatever it is, like a big, maybe even bigger by the time he gets there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no. Remember what you did to me before?
Not happening.
There's like the chance of a hometown discount, I think, would go out the window once you go to arbitration.
No, that's true. So you can jump in on this, 617-779-7937. Our buddy Josh is up in Nashua. Josh, you'd move on if you're Duran? I think you just tweeted this at me.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'd move on from them. I think that's absolutely a slap in the face. That's ridiculous. $500,000. Like, I'm sure, like, the amount of money like Jarren Duran brings into the Red Sox organization now is way, way more worth than that. That's what I would just, I wouldn't even show up.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I don't know if he has that much leverage, and maybe he'd win in arbitration. but it is a slap in the face. There's no doubt about that.
They pay guys way more to rehab.
Great point.
They've brought in so many guys that they knew were hurt and were coming off of Tommy John.
Patrick Sandoval,
Liam Hendricks, James Paxton. They have a history of bringing.
But I'm saying they're literally doing it this offseason,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
They have a
yeah,
history
yeah.
of it, but they're doing it this offseason with Patrick Sandoval. They're
Right.
like, yeah, come in, we'll pay
Like,
you to
you
rehab.
Meanwhile, you play all-star center field and lead off for us, and we can't give you an extra $500,000.
Mike's in Weymouth again. Hello, Mike.
Hey, guys, sorry about that. I know you've moved on, but it's really, for all the sports, I feel like the leadership is so intangible and incredibly important. These guys spend their whole lives thinking they're individuals and they're special. And now you give these, like the Bruins, no trade clauses. So you've already made these guys feel special. And they've gone through 3 coaches. So where's the leadership? It's intangible, delicate, but without it, you have nothing. You have a bunch of individuals out there, consumed by self-interest, pulling in separate directions.
Yeah, and this goes back to Keefe Scoop
that's a good
on the
point.
Bruins. Pasternak and Marchand not seeing eye to eye, part of their turmoil.
But it is tough because you're right. In this scenario, it seems like Pasternak's in the wrong. But he's also the better player who's 8 years younger.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't want to reward him, but you're also like, as a franchise, are you going to get rid of him? Or how do you punish him?
You're
What do you
choosing
do?
the 36-year-old who is not as productive as he used to be versus, look, a younger player having a bad season, but still a guy who's more on top of his game, or at least has the potential to it. Yeah, it sends a bad message. That's what I do. If you got to pick one, and Sweeney has a tough decision to make, I trade Marchand.